We have been watching as stablecoins continue to make records. We just hit over $280+ billion for the entire stablecoin space, and this is up about 6% in the last 30 days. Transfer volume and things like that are down a bit, but holders continues to gain traction as well. We're almost at 200 million stablecoin holders, which is just wild to see. Now, with transfer volume, that's to be expected with the market being down in quarter three. Even if we go back in time, we could see that, going into the summer of 2024, stablecoins were going crazy. And I'll actually put this on the monthly just so that you guys can see this real quick. So going into May, stablecoins were just going insane. And then they just kind of fell off into, the end of the year where the market kind of just went down. It really wasn't that exciting. And then November and December, we just started to go crazy. With December being the peak at almost $4 trillion in monthly transfer volume. Right now, even though the market has been rough, stablecoins are continuing to make crazy statements every single month. For an example, in August, which August wasn't that exciting, $3.5 trillion, which is wild. Even in September, which, we're almost out of September, it's been a rough month for crypto, almost $3 trillion still. So stablecoins just continue to see crazy amounts of usage. And talking about the holders, right? This is what I mean by mass adoption being targeted by just some random use case. Stablecoins. Stablecoins are becoming the main key player here. And I do think that this is just going to continue to become a big piece of the space where it is the enabler of mass adoption. We're going to see a lot of users onboarded just through stablecoin payments and use cases. And then also when you think about the big players jumping in on stablecoins like the big banks, and we also are starting to see states jumping in on it and enterprise companies. And I mean, this is only going to accelerate the adoption around stablecoins even more. So, as we really focus on this, yes, we're still focused on the fact that, stablecoins like RLUSD do exist. They are becoming huge pieces of the space as well. Monthly transfer volume, by the way, on RLUSD up 20, almost 4%, almost $2 billion. And the total value up 12.4, almost 12.5% in the last 30 days. RLUSD is starting to see a lot of adoption. We're starting to see a big push around RLUSD, and it's so early. It's still such a fresh launch. So to see this amount of adoption and this amount of growth is very, very exciting. Now, I want to go back to this market cap because I don't know which one is more up to date, if it's CoinMarketCap or not, but technically we are over $300+ billion on stablecoins. That's insane. And RLUSD is really moving up the list here. I do think that if we really want to target that top 5, we really need to start growing in a big way here for RLUSD. I do suspect that will happen, especially with all of the recent announcements happening around RLUSD. For an example, we just expanded RLUSD access to African institutions through partnerships with Chipper Cash, Valor, and Yellow Card. That happened back on September 4th. On top of the announcement from the end of August with SBI, right? This is going to be a huge push around RLUSD in Japan because this is going to be distributing RLUSD stablecoins in Japan in Q1 of 2026. And this is all through SBI VC Trade. Again, SBI has always been a huge fan of Ripple. They were one of the earlier investors around Ripple as well. So they are in full support of what Ripple is doing. So now, just going off of these two announcements, right, we have two major planned distributions for RLUSD in key areas in the world, which is going to also add up to a ton of volume and value tied back to RLUSD. And let's not forget what big institutional players are doing, like, for an example, HSBC, because just recently, and this happened on the 23rd, HSBC rolled out cross-border tokenized deposits starting with Ant International. Now, we do know in the past that Chris Larsen, that's right, the same Chris Larsen from Ripple, was on the board of directors for HSBC. Now, does that confirm anything? No, not exactly. But I will say, we do know that HSBC back in 2023 was going to launch a storage service for tokenized securities as more big banks warm to blockchain. Now, what's interesting about this is that HSBC already partnered up with Medico. HSBC is using technology from Swiss crypto custody firm Medico, which was recently acquired by blockchain startup Ripple to store bonds and other securities. Well, guess what? That means that they're using Ripple custody because Medico is now fully branded to Ripple custody. So if we're thinking about this logically, this recent announcement with HSBC rolling out cross-border tokenized deposits, I would argue that Ripple probably has a hand to play with this. The same exact way that major banks like DZ Bank and also Deca Bank this year were announcing major plans for crypto custody services using Ripple custody. They want to provide, services to their clients, and they are tapping in with Ripple. I bring all of this up because, again, institutional adoption around Ripple and even around RLUSD is another big game changer. We just witnessed 2 major updates from Ripple, which was this one with Securitize. And this is all based around RLUSD as well. And it's also based around on-chain yield and other DeFi capabilities that will integrate onto the XRP Ledger to expand access and utility to the XRP ecosystem. This is direct demand around institutional players using XRP and the XRPL. But it didn't stop there because we also witnessed this update. And by the way, most of this is in September. Introducing the next building block of on-chain markets, we're partnering with DBS Bank and FTI Global to establish repo markets powered by tokenized collateral and stablecoins. Investors will be able to use RLUSD to trade for Franklin Templeton's money market fund, SG Benji, tokenized on the XRP Ledger, and listed on DBS's digital exchange, earning yield and opening new liquidity venues. Institutional momentum is building on chain, and this is from Ripple themselves. Now, I'm bringing all of this up because a good friend of mine, Max Avery, did put out a great post regarding the big push around RLUSD. So RLUSD is changing everything for the XRP Ledger, and I agree with this statement because, again, what Ripple is focused on and has been focused on is institutional adoption, institutional DeFi on the XRP Ledger. RLUSD is the enabler of this. What started as Ripple's answer to stablecoin independence has become the rocket fuel for institutional adoption. Here's what the XRP Ledger plus RLUSD is doing to transform global finance. RLUSD launched in late 2016, and market cap has already soared to $789 million, ranking number 90 on CoinMarketCap. The USD peg holds rock solid at 0.01% variance. Institutions love stability, and RLUSD delivers. Bybit just listed RLUSD for spot trading, and XRP open interest exploded to $1 billion in hours. We're seeing increased retail and institutional capital flowing into the ecosystem through new on-ramps, billions in volume incoming. And now Ripple has partnered with Securitize to make RLUSD the redemption mechanism for BlackRock's Build and also VanEck's VBill tokenized funds. Trillions in tokenized assets could flow through RLUSD rails. RLUSD is a top choice for banks using Ripple software for internal transactions. This helps prove RLUSD's reliability in a way that nothing else can. The XRP Ledger's new EVM sidechain allows developers to deploy Ethereum apps taking advantage of XRP Ledger's super fast speed and low fees, along with a highly liquid USD stablecoin. This hybrid system is quickly attracting builders, and the ecosystem is expanding at an incredible rate. XRP ETFs are poised for huge growth. Institutional capital is pouring in for both leveraged and spot ETFs before the year ends. Hidden Road, part of the Ripple ecosystem, will integrate XRP and RLUSD for easier on and off ramps. RLUSD boosts on-demand liquidity by providing a native stablecoin for direct USD transactions. RLUSD includes clawback functionality, allowing token freezing under specific conditions. This isn't a bug, it's a feature institutions demand. risk-averse enterprises need compliance controls, and RLUSD delivers on them. RLUSD is also being tested to aid humanitarian efforts by using satellite data and smart contracts to make automatic payments. This demonstrates its potential to do good while showcasing its real-world usefulness on a large scale. RLUSD is quickly becoming a DeFi powerhouse on the XRP Ledger with support for lending, borrowing, and liquidity pools. It offers a stable platform that takes full advantage of the XRP Ledger's AMM and EVM sidechain. This DeFi is built for institutions, not just individual traders. Think of RLUSD as a gateway to broader XRP adoption. Institutions begin with stable, low-risk nature of the stablecoin, then gradually move towards using XRP for liquidity as they gain confidence in Ripple's ecosystem. It's a smart strategic entry point. With rising regulatory pressure, RLUSD stands out. Its transparency and support from the New York Department of Financial Services makes it the top pick for high-value enterprise transactions. When compliance matters, there's no competition. Ripple is building the full financial stack with lending, payments, stablecoins, brokerage, even eyeing a US bank charter. RLUSD is the cornerstone connecting traditional finance to blockchain efficiency. With institutional integrations picking up speed and tokenized assets growing rapidly, the hockey stick growth is just getting started. RLUSD and XRP, including of course the XRP Ledger, are assembling the infrastructure for tomorrow's financial system. Hodlers, the dominoes are falling. And yes, listen, believe it or not, when we think about what's happening here, the main focus from Ripple and what Ripple has been doing with RLUSD is extremely strategic. It goes back to this announcement from the 22nd of this month, which was institutional DeFi is here, and the XRP Ledger has solidified its position as the trusted open source settlement layer for global institutions. Again, when we are looking into this, we look at the first statement here. Over the past year, the XRP Ledger has broken into the top 10 chains for RWA tokenization and reached its first month with over 1 billion in stablecoin volume. I wonder how it reached that 1 billion in stablecoin volume. It's clear we're entering a new phase as lending, compliance, programmability, and tokenization converge. The updated institutional DeFi roadmap for the XRP Ledger includes what's live, what's under validator vote, and it highlights two major upcoming primitives: a native lending protocol and ZKPs, enabling privacy with accountability. All of this, and they go over everything here, all of this is focused on institutional adoption. Everything that we are seeing around XRP today has already been planned out. What Ripple is doing isn't a secret. We have been hearing about this for years, and it's finally happening now. Institutional grade adoption of the XRP Ledger at scale is coming. We know this because everything that we are seeing from Ripple is building towards that. Now is not the time to ignore the facts. Now is the time to lock in and study what Ripple is doing here. RLUSD is not just your, stablecoin that is in this space that can be utilized for X, Y, and Z. No, it's a stablecoin that is a strategic weapon from Ripple to ensure that the XRP Ledger has enough liquidity, that the XRP Ledger has a extremely compliant and stable asset that can be utilized in unison with XRP for transactions, for institutional grade use cases. When we look at what's happening here, this is the big plan. This is how Ripple is changing everything for XRP. Institutional grade adoption's already happening. 2025 is the year where we are witnessing the big push from institutional players diving into DeFi, diving into tokenization, and even diving into stablecoins. So lock in, pay attention, because this is just the beginning. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.